and Mr. Shailesh Sakri, sir, as our honorable chief guest for today's. The essence of great leadership is influence and not authority. With this note, I would like to welcome our respected principal, sir, Dr. Mohan Babu, to this function. I would also like to welcome Dr. C.S. Mala, Dean of Student Welfare, Dr. Anjan Krishnamurthy, Branch Counselor of IEEE Student Branch BMSIT&M, and Mr. Sunny Sir, Branch Advisor, IEEE Signal Processing Society BMSIT&M. He who puts his soul and heart in uplifting others attains dignity. Yes, I welcome all the dignitaries gathered in the meet. Last but not the least, I sincerely welcome all my student friends. You're strong and smart. Once again, I welcome everyone to this inaugural function. Thank you. Without any further delay, let's move forward. Now, I would like to call on Dr. Anjan Krishnamurthy, who is currently serving as the branch counselor of IEEE Student Branch BMSIT&M. Today, Sir will be providing the audience with the insights on IEEE activities. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Vishesh. Very good morning to all of us who have gathered here in this virtual inaugural function. It is my privilege to read out the IEEE activities that we have conducted in the last couple of years. IEEE Student Branch BMSIT started in the year 2016 and it was revived in the year 2018. Since then, the student branch has been conducting various technical and non-technical events for the students of BMSIT&M. IEEE Student Branch is an enthusiastic student organization which aims to plan and conduct varieties of technical and quality events and also develop holistic development of the student members. With the magnanimous support of management and our principal, sir, we have been dedicated. We have been given a dedicated space in the IEEE in the campus, designated as IEEE office, which has enabled our students to work on publicity and production design team to innately work on every event. The student branch has conducted several technical events and webinars over the last few months and last few years. And it has concentrated some of the topics like open source development, how to bag your dream software job, a Girl Geek program, which was a flagship program of IEEE Computer Society in BMSIT, a Django workshop, roadmap to NASA, how to master AI and ML with AWS, APIs for beginners, website development workshop, robotics workshop, which was conducted from a professor from NTU Singapore. And subsequently, we also had an aerial humanoid robot session from IIT Italy. And we also had flagship events like Symphony and circuit debugging in the year 2018. IEEE Student Branch is also aspiring to conduct an international conference this year, for which we have submitted an approval to the IEEE Bangalore section, and it is and we are awaiting the approval for it. The IEEE Student Branch at BMSIT has been awarded the Most Promising Student Branch Award in 2020, Best Annual Report 2019, and many of our student volunteers have been selected for as a part of a volunteering team in the Bangalore section as well as in the Asia Pacific region. So IEEE student members and the EXICOM, we meet on a regular basis to understand the technical needs of our students. We also conduct a membership drive twice in the year to spread the awareness and benefits of IEEE to all the student members of BMSIT. So some of the non-technical events which we have conducted is the self-defense workshop, treasure hunt, finance and investment management, my mic, my rules. We have also conducted webinars like scholarship webinars by IEEE Computer Society, giving the highlight about what are the different scholarship events which are there for IEEE students. And also an event called as All About IEEE Rising Stars, which was conducted to give an opportunity to all the IEEE students about the benefits of IEEE. So every year from last 2 to 3 years, we have been conducting IEEE Day in the month of October every year, where students and the faculty group have enthusiastically participated in it. IEEE Student Branch at BMSIT has conducted over 60 events during 2019, 20, and 2021, even during the challenging times of lockdown and the pandemic. IEEE student branch BMSIT&M is also very active in social media platforms in Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, where we regularly keep posting the updates of our events and activities. Thank you. Thank you all. Over to Vishesh.
Thank you, sir, for providing the audience with the insight on IEEE activities conducted in our college. I hope this has motivated many of the participants to become a part of such a vibrant organization. Moving ahead, now I would like to invite our next speaker, Dr. C.S. Mala, Dean of Student Welfare, BMSIT&M, to address the gathering. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Vishesh. A pleasant morning to all of you. Respected Principal Dr. Mohan Babu GN, the honored guests of the day, Mr. Shailesh Sakri, Chair, IEEE SPS Bangalore Chapter, Professor KVS Hari, Vice President, IEEE SPS Bangalore, Dr. Ranjan, Professor Sanish, dear colleagues, and my dear students. I'm happy that Signal Processing Society Student Chapter of IEEE is being inaugurated today in our BMSIT&M. I think this is the second one that is being inaugurated under IEEE Student Chapter. The first one is in the Computer Science Department, and the second one now, Signal Processing Society, comes under Electronics Department, I think. And incidentally, today is designated by the United Nations as Families Day. If everything is well in the family, everything outside will be pleasant. Wish all of you a happy family life. Now, coming to Signal Processing Society, it's being inaugurated today. Now, students, what after that? Will it just end as an event, a program, a function, or a few seminars and talks? It shouldn't end even with a few seminars, talks, or workshops. Well, dear students, whatever we do, there should be a goal, an aim, and an objective for the betterment of humanity and the environment. Signal processing has seamless applications in every field. Name it, you find the applications of signal processing. In the present scenario, and for the decades to come, its application in digital health has tremendous potential. Signal processing blended with machine learning has played a major role in the early detection of red alert diseases and has enabled prevention of serious health consequences. This I know because my daughter is also working on medical signal processing in Germany. And, there are numerous applications. What I look forward to see from this society is the outcome to be beneficial to mankind. It should not just be coming out with a few papers, seminars. Beyond that, it should be. No knowledge should begin with words and end merely with words, but that which shall benefit humanity. I am glad that Dr. Ranjan and Sanish are in charge of it, and I'm sure they will take it forward and make it more purposeful and meaningful. Wishing a grand success to this Signal Processing Society Student Chapter of BMSIT, a grand success. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your helpful words. It was delightful to hear from you. Now, I would like to request our principal, sir, our chief guest, and all the key dignitaries to join us in officially launching the IEEE Signal Processing Society Student Chapter in BMS Institute of Technology and Management.
Is it audible? Was it audible?
Yeah, it is audible. Go ahead, Karnan.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all. This is just the beginning of many things. With this, moving ahead, I am pleased to welcome our chief guest, Professor KVS Hari, a very special guest of ours from the IEEE Signal Processing Society, to deliver a speech on benefits of joining IEEE Signal Processing Society and the perks available to the volunteers. Professor Hari is currently serving as the Vice President, membership of the IEEE Signal Processing Society. He is currently a professor at IISc Bangalore and has also served as a visiting faculty at top universities around the globe. His research interests include statistical signal processing, MIMO wireless communication system, radar and navigation system, etc. He is also in charge as the editor-in-chief of Sadhana and fellow of IEEE and INAE. With that, I ask you all to give your full attention to Professor Hari and help me in welcoming him. Sir, you can take over.
Thank you very much. First of all, a very warm welcome to this event on the behalf of the IEEE Signal Processing Society. And good morning to everyone. Thank you for the leadership of the IEEE, the college, for inviting me to share a few thoughts on about the society and what the society can do for all of you. So let me see if I can share my screen. Please confirm if you're able to see my screen.
Yes, sir. It is visible, sir.
Thank you. So, as Professor Mala mentioned, we are living in a world full of signals around us. There are signals everywhere, and signal processing is basically the heart of everything, every system and every algorithm which we all do, including this talk, where our speeches and camera images are being sent across the networks. So signal processing everywhere is usually what I tell everyone, and it touches everybody in everyday life. And with going with the motto of IEEE for advancing technology for humanity, I urge all of you to think about problems to solve which will benefit us. So today I will mostly focus on something what the society does, a brief introduction about the Signal Processing Society, and then what you can expect support for all your dreams. So let me start by going around who we are, that is, what is this society about. So Signal Processing Society is IEEE's first society. It was established in 1948, and we will be celebrating our 75th anniversary in 2023. In that context, we're also planning to compile the history of Signal Processing Society across the globe. And in that context, we would like to also compile the history of signal processing activities in this country. So I would urge all of you to help us in creating this nice archive for posterity. So I would be reaching out to faculty and students of various institutions in the country and seek your support and assistance to create a nice profile of activities in signal processing in India. This will obviously be across the globe, so we go to other parts of the world also. SPS is the fourth largest society. We have about more than 17,000 members, and it's in more than 120 countries. But now most members are centered in regions 8 and 10. Region 10 is the Asia Pacific, and India belongs to region 10. And so you have now joined a large network of chapters and student branch chapters across the globe, which is sort of run by volunteers like you. 1,000+ volunteer network across various activities which were involved in conferences, publications, and so on and so forth. So we have more than 220+ chapters and student branch chapters across the globe, and each of these organizational units, as we call, are basically working towards advancing the motto of IEEE and the Signal Processing Society. You can obviously request for support for organizing various events and even maybe building some small prototypes. Typically, chapter activities include collaboration, technical talks, social events, and of course, you can create events which are geared towards solving real-world problems. So what do we do as a society? The key is, for any technical professional community, as we are all professional scientists and engineers, we would like to, our curiosity is the driving factor. We would like to seek out solutions to problems, identify new phenomena, and share the thrill and joy and excitement of discovery and invention. So in that context, it is for any technical professional community, it's obviously imperative for us to share our discoveries and inventions. So in one way of sharing, of course, is through a publication or a document, and maybe through different kinds of content now that multimedia content is there, through video lectures and podcasts and so on and so forth, and articles. But the key thing is that we need to do research. That means we need to do something which is exciting, which is novel, and which has not been done before. So in order to share the technical knowledge across the community, the key part is publications. So IEEE, as you know, publishes top research journals, so which has the latest results in signal processing and other fields. So SPS obviously runs the IEEE transactions on signal processing and many other journals. It also runs, this is for top researchers. So going through those papers, you will get to know what exactly happens in the current field of signal processing and what researchers are working on. The Signal Processing magazine is more towards trying to introduce to a basic engineer about what is happening in the field of signal processing and its applications. So that is not a research paper with all details, but gives you a good understanding about the cutting edge technology which are being developed in this field. And of course, the other level of Signal Processing Society newsletter highlights activities and events and interviews with the authors and so on and so forth. There's a content gazette which will tell you what are all the publications which are being published in all the journals of the society. We have an interesting SPS resource center, which is free for SPS members to access content which have tutorials of very distinguished speakers in different conferences, and also lectures on topics and short courses in the SPS Resource Center. So one can access this if you are an SPS member. Of course, we have SPS blogs and we have new journals which are coming up. So the goal of an academic researcher is to ensure that as I said, new thoughts and novel ideas are shared with the community, and you should aspire to publish papers in these top journals. And the next important aspect of any professional network or society is to build a network of people to interact with them, and you should be in a position to mingle with them. So therefore, conferences and events are very, very important for any professional society, and more so now in the pandemic. I'm sure you're all eager to resume meeting in person. So IEEE organizes, SPS organizes annual events and workshops at different, in all parts of the world. And ICASP is one flagship conference, and it will be held in India in Hyderabad in 2025 for the first time after 50 years. And ISIP, which is a conference on image processing, is the other flagship conference which we hold. ISB is a conference which is jointly held by EMB Society, and it will be held for the first time in India in 2022. And ICM is another conference with Computer Society and other societies. So typically, the conferences events are basically for students and researchers and also young academic faculty members to meet maybe the authors of papers which you have read in the transactions, and also meet people who have written textbooks which you may be following. So these are important events where you build your professional network. And it's very important for you to ensure that you interact with people, interact with your own peer community, students across the globe, young professionals across the globe, industry professionals, and so on and so forth. So there are opportunities for you to get connected with people, and which will help you in your professional career. Of course, SPS members do have discounted registration fee. Now, due to the COVID situation, we have only virtual options. So all the conferences are right now virtual. Maybe till, we don't know, maybe they may resume early next year or late this year. So for students, the society holds global level competitions called the Signal Processing Cup, the Video and Image Processing Cup, and a 5-minute video clip contest. So these are competitions which are held at the global level. Unfortunately, we do not have much participation from India at these competitions. So I would strongly urge your student branch chapter to think about entering these competitions at the global level. And you can directly enter. Every year it is held, and there are very few teams which most of the teams in the last few years have been from Bangladesh. And I'm sure you can certainly create your own teams, multiple teams to make an entry into this global competition. We can provide, the Bangalore chapter may be able to provide some mentorship. So if you contact the current SPS chapter chair, I'm sure the leadership will be in a position to see whether they can do some mentoring. Of course, these events, we also conduct job opportunities, job fairs at these flagship conferences, so you can meet global companies. Obviously, everybody can't travel, so we also give travel grants to conferences, student authors at these workshops. So this is an important activity which you should look at. And all of you are volunteers, and there are a lot of volunteer opportunities in SPS also. We are very strong in promoting diversity and inclusion, and we would require a lot more volunteering from various people. Diversity includes, of course, gender, but also regional diversity. So we would like more people from different parts of the globe to be participating in this society, where we really want a inclusive and diverse society, so that we are all enriched by each one's experience. So specific things about what the chapter has, chapter support which we provide. Just look at the funding opportunities. Every year you have a distinguished lecturer program which the chapter can handle. The money is not given to the chapter, but it is given directly to the distinguished lecturer who travels to the venue and delivers a lecture and presents the technical talk. This distinguished lecturer program and distinguished industry speaker program is an important way of connecting with distinguished people and having access to talking to them and exchanging ideas. Now, typically this program is run by the chapter, but the student branch chapters can all request for a distinguished lecturer to make a or to connect. Now, of course, it is much easier. There's no cost involved. It's virtual. So please, I would urge all of you to make use of this. Other than that, for any events, you can also get a support of up to $500 US for events. If you want to organize an event, it could be a one-day event, it could be a short training where you want to run a Python programming course, or you want to buy some small few kits like Raspberry Pi, Arduino to do something. And if you make a proposal, this money can be provided from the society, and you can use this for conducting events. Even for social events, you can do. Right now, it is not possible, but suppose you want to go on a short weekend trip for a picnic, that also can be supported. So these are all social events. But the technical events, you can even apply for chapter and member-driven initiatives where you can create workshops and forums. So these are things which up to $5,000 is the maximum limit. It's not that everybody gets $5,000. It goes through a review process. All decisions in the society are very democratic and professionally done. Everybody scores independently, and then there is a collective score which is obtained, and there's a threshold, and those who are above the threshold get the proposal funding. Okay, and of course travel grants, etc. So we do have an app to access this information. You can download an SPS Events app through which you can access the website and a lot of information about various links. So I would, of course, remind all of you know that SPS membership is only $1 once you are an IEEE student member. And even for faculty members, we have reduced the membership fee to the developing nations fee. So you can now enroll into your as an SPS member for $11 in addition to your IEEE membership. But now, since we are in May, you can even enroll for the rest of the year for 50%. So for $5.50, you can become an SPS member. Of course, SPS also is on social media and so on and so forth. This is the SPS team, which works with me. Jessica is the communications promotion strategy. Teresa is the senior manager who manages all these grants and other things. George is the one who provides support to chapters. So any question you have, anything about chapters, what you are eligible for, what are the various things, George is the one. Jackie is the one who looks at chapter-driven initiatives, seasonal schools, and so on and so forth. So feel free to connect with them and see whether you can avail of this. So thank you very much for the opportunity, and I wish the SPS student chapter all the best, and to have a very vibrant future. And please feel free to connect with me. There is no problem for me to point you to resources or suggestions. At some point in time, I would be very happy to even deliver a technical lecture for for all the students. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for an enlightening presentation. I would also like to thank you for providing insights into ICIP, ISBI, and IMEI conferences, then mentioning about Signal Processing Cup, Video and Image Processing Cup, and about 5 minutes video contest. All of these will be of great value to the students so that they can make the most out of it. As there is a saying, sir, that people are like tea bags. They don't get to know how much strong they are until they put themselves in the hot water. So with this, your insights about joining IEEE Signal Processing Society and the perks available to the volunteers was highly informational. And I hope people will take this as an opportunity to enrich their knowledge and their personality. Moving ahead, now I would like to invite our guest of honor, Mr. Shailesh sir, who is currently serving as the chairperson of IEEE Signal Processing Society, Bangalore chapter. He is a result-oriented visionary with a background of working in consumer electronics, IoT, and automotive embedded system software. He is an experienced audio specialist with a demonstrated history of working in consumer electronics industry. Today, Sir will be sharing with us his views on the recent trends in the field of signal processing so that the participants can grab maximum exposure and opportunities from it. With this note, I ask Shailesh sir to address the gathering. Over to you, sir. Sir, you are not audible, sir.
Oh, sorry, I was speaking on mute.
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah, so everyone, on the distinguished gathering over here. What I want to do today is that I have prepared. This will be very interesting for the students, I guess. The job opportunities in the DSP field and what it takes to become a DSP engineer and what are the things that are going on in the industry. So I'd like to share a brief about that. Let me share my screen. How do I share the screen? Just a minute. Okay, can you all see my screen?
Yes, sir. Your screen is visible, sir.
Okay, thanks. All right, I think some of you all did share about what is a DSP. I mean, what is a signal? Signal means that any variable that carries or contains some kind of information that can be conveyed, displayed, or manipulated. Right. So, like Hari sir was mentioning, I mean, we have the signal processing everywhere. So, what we are speaking, what we are seeing right now, so it's all we are dealing with the signals in every part of our life. Okay, some of the examples of the speech are, like the speech which is encountered in the telephony, radio, the biomedical signals, the sound and music, video and image, radar signals. Okay, so in short, I mean, where do we use the digital signal processing? I mean, it's some of the arenas where we use this, or we call it as audio signal processing, speech signal processing, radar, osmology, sonar, biomedical signals, voice recognition, image processing, video processing, sensor signal processing. Okay, in short, DSPs everywhere, like most of us talked about. So, but when it comes to the academics is one aspect, but when it comes to the industry in implementing and usage, there are three levels of understanding which is required for any technological advancement of the DSP. First, we call it the theoretical, the conceptual, and the practical. Right. So some of them are very good in putting together all the theoretical aspects. Okay, so we take the help of all the academicians. So we have some people, the research scientists within the companies who particularly focus on solving some of the problems, the real world problems. And there are very good people who understand this concept and they know how to apply this. Okay, so and then what they are, some people are very good at it, implementing these concepts in a working code. So it could be MATLAB, it could be C, C++, Java. Okay, so typically most of the organizations where it's DSPs are being used. So I would say that there are three categories of engineers. Okay, the first engineer is the research scientist. So what do they do? So the research scientists, we generally hire them who focus a lot on solving the real world problems that can be realized, of course. So they're very good in understanding the problems and what kind of solution can be applied where and how to come up with a proper solution. Okay, then we have another category of engineers whom we call it as the applied scientists or the DSP engineers. And what they are good at is they take the proof of concepts or the solutions which are given by the research scientists, okay, which are implemented either in MATLAB, C, MATLAB, generally MATLAB, because that's where they want to simulate and prove that for this, for these set of problems, this solves, okay, this solution solves everything. And what they take is the applied scientists take it and put it in a processor, okay, in a real world environment, okay, and make it work, implement those solutions. Okay, like for example, you might have learned about all the FI filters, IR filters, the FFT algorithms. Okay, there are various ways by which you can, how you can implement the FI filters. So, you might have heard about the direct form filters. The direct form filters, it's so difficult to implement. It's easy to implement it, but it has its own limitations in implementing it on the processor. Okay, so that's why we have the bicord filters. You break it up in all those filters and you come up with the structure. So you come up with a cascaded thing. So there are various forms of the realization. So what you have one thing is the filter, then there is another one is which is a realization, which is a very key aspect. But realization also requires understanding of the algorithms. Okay, so some people are very good in understanding the algorithms and they know the limitations on which they are playing and how they can get a best out of it. And there's another category of engineers whom we call it as the Dsp Firmware Engineers. And what they do is that they glue together the solution with external signals. So in a MATLAB, what we do is that we take the wave files, okay, we plug it in, these are all offline processing. But these Dsp Firmware Engineers, they take these algorithms, which are implemented by the DSP engineers, they put together, glue together, and like how do I, in the real time, my audio signals are being, being pumped into the system. I take on a periodic basis and process within such a time, so they know how to handle the interrupts, they know how to handle the analog to digital converters, they know how to pump the data into the digital to analog converter and then to the speakers, okay, to the external world. So between this thing, there is a lot of things that they will have to do, the buffer management, okay, what kind of block size they should apply, okay, what kind of things that, like the DSP engineer work very closely with the DSP firmware engineer to realize, put it together, and get a product out of it. Okay, so that's where, in short, all these different categories of engineers play a vital role in putting together a bigger product. Okay, so not just knowing the mathematical equations, okay, and solving the real world problem, you can get a product out of it. You need a DSP engineer who has an expertise in implementing these solutions on a processor which have limitations. Okay, so just I can give you an example. Like take a division. Division is very easy, but when you want to put it in a processor, there is a lot of things that you have to take care of. So generally the DSP processor doesn't have the devices. Then you have to come up with a different algorithm, right? Even so, you might be knowing most of the DSP processor are a fixed point processors. So of course there are floating point processors also, but these floating point processors, have a high power usage. Of course, there's a lot of trend. There's a lot of advancement that has happened where Even with a floating point, there are DSP floating point processors which have a good power performance. But still, there's many processors which are the fixed point processor. But when you deal with a fixed point processor, you should understand how do you represent the floating point numbers into a fixed point format, right? And then how do you take care of the quantization of it? So take for example, when you're implementing FFT, and there's a lot of multiplication and addition involved within the FFT implementation. And at that time, there's a lot of quantization that comes in, because you have to, when you multiply two 16-digit number, you get a 32-bit digit number. And how many digits, how are you going to discard it? So the moment way to discard it, right? So because you have to have a fine balance of, the quantization effect, the fine balance of how you, where you have to truncate it, where you have to round it off, okay, so that the quantization doesn't creep in, and the adjacent blocks which will take the process signal doesn't have a fully quantized. I mean, of course, you cannot avoid the quantization, nice, but to what degree, to what element you can introduce, that is also an art, and that's where the DSP engineers come into picture, right? Okay, so then, of course, there's a lot of challenges as a DSP engineers. I mean, I was mentioning the signal processing engineers deal with different kinds of math tools, the complex. I mean, they used to, those days, probably around 25 years back, something like that. But I mean, signal processing engineers used to deal with different kinds of math tools, the complex hand calculations, the massive filters, and the passive components they used to. But the times have changed. Okay, so what they expect is that these days the DSP engineers are expected to know the end-to-end. Okay, the same person is expected to have a deep analysis of the behavior of the various phenomena, and also become an architect of his own algorithms. So you might be surprised, some of the Amazon's Echo products, okay, it's not a big team which is involved over there. So Amazon releases close to 10 products every year. Okay, so what you have is that you have the basic building, the engineers, the researchers, scientists who can build those basic blocks, and the DSP engineers are the one who put together the solution, make that happen. And there's hardly one or two engineers on every product who work on this. Okay, you might be surprised on the Amazon Auto, which is a device which is running on the car. I mean, so there is only one engineer who was working on it, who conceptualized the how to solve the voice recognition and the keyword detection in a car environment, because the car conditions are different than the home conditions. So there is only one engineer who developed it and who implemented it on there and took it to the product stage. So that's the expectation you have, where you have to conceptualize, take it, and then realize. And we call them become an architect of your own algorithms. Okay. So of course, you should understand the whole end-to-end. That's when you can become an architect. It's not just knowing the equations in it. So you should also know some of the limitations and how to implement those equations. Okay, and of course, you can also have a specialization. Like Hari sir was mentioning, there's tons of materials available over there. There's a lot of videos which IEEE has, and you can go and access those videos. And what I would say is that the signal processing, the vastness that it has, it can just open up the floodgates to the infinite drop of opportunities. So I would say with this basic instincts, the agility and perseverance to rise up to the occasion and quote algorithms defines the droplet that can be used to quench the thirst. So you should be very, very good in which algorithm can be used at what instance and how that can be applied over there, right? And of course you can have a specialization also. And in the Masters of Science, like you can do the speech and image processing, and they're very potentially challenging. And of course, these days you have the machine learning things, where machine learning is applicable to many other areas. There's a computer vision and biomedical, like Mala Madam was saying, there's a biomedical exploration where you can, there's a lot of real world problems that has been solved using machine learning and the signal processing techniques, right? So you can have all the crossover video where you can access, there's no dearth of information that's available. There's a lot of information available out there. IEEE itself has a lot of information, all the videos, you have access to some of the papers where you can read those papers. You can definitely become an expert, but okay, you need a lot of dedication to it. So what are the qualities that are required to do that? So I would say that good analytical abilities, perseverance, patience, and of course, hard work and creativity is very, very vital. But however, the key to success remains winning a losing game. So it's not so easy to implement any equation in a real world situation and make it work. So it's not just an elementary math, but the beauty lies in the way it operates through us every day. So you should also have that, how the sine and cosine waves rule the roast. So how the circle in most engaging shapes of the world. So how it can engage the whole shape of the world. So after algorithms may fail. So first time you have to fail, but just that tingles a little more creativity. Okay, so I can share one instance where in one of my previous company called Audience, where we were putting together all the analysis. Like most of you, all the algorithms have the frequency-based analysis, which is a FFT algorithm. But in our previous company, we had a special kind of analysis called the cochlea transformation, cochlea. So all the analysis was done in a cochlea domain. So the bank of filters with which mimic the human auditory system, and all the analysis was done. So my founder, the company founder, he put together analysis, everything. Once you break down and all your data was there in the analysis domain, now he couldn't figure out, he was unable to find out how to recreate that. Okay, the reconstruction is a challenging thing. So it took 2 to 3 years, okay, to really recreate the all the signals that were analyzed in the cochlea domain. So you will not get the problem, solutions overnight. You have to work hard towards it. You have to come up with the various combinations, doing it and making it work. So that's why I call the signal processing as an art. It's just like any painting, music, and dancing. Just like any painter, he keeps on tries to get a perfection in the painting. Okay, so he strives hard, where every time he comes up with a painting, he's not satisfied. He wants to do it even better than that. The same is a musician, same as a dancing. So in the same way, coming up with a solution is not a thing. So every time you have to challenge yourself and come up with the new solutions. So that so in terms of the job positions in the industry, I would say that there's a lot where you can explore the options. There's a space scientist with organizations like NASA, ISRO, ESA, and of course you can become academicians also, becoming professors, which most of them are also there, which also plays a vital role. And then you have a defense engineers, you have a machine learning engineer, where you have to have a blend of concepts of the signal processing and the machine learning, which is where all the voice recognition system, the keyword detection system plays a vital role over there. Then you have the computer vision engineers, then you have the research scientists, which I talked about. Then very specific, the DSP, digital signal processing engineers. So there are a lot of top hardware-based companies like Texas Instruments, Samsung, Harman, Analog Devices, Intel, there are many. And of course, there are devices company. Amazon has devices, Microsoft has also has its devices. There's a Facebook has devices. The devices division of all these bigger 4 companies. So there's opportunities over there also. So there's no dearth of opportunities where you can play a role. So as I said, if you're good in all the equations, everything, solving the real world problem, but not so good in implementing, you can become a research scientist. Okay, if you're really good in implementing, very good programmer, and you understand these equations, limitations, everything, you can become a DSP engineer. And you're very good in putting together everything, you can become a DSP firmware engineer. So that's how the industry operates, and that's when you'll be able to put together a product. So that's I'd like to conclude. Any questions?
Yeah, if anybody has questions, they can either post it in the chat box or they can raise your hand. Yes, sir. Principal sir has a question.
Sure.
It's by accident. Sorry, it's by accident.
Okay, sir. Yeah. So thank you, Shailesh, sir, for providing the insights into DSP engineering structures, challenges which a DSP engineer faces, about the different specializations available in this field. I'm sure the information which you have shared will help the audience get a clear picture about the recent trends in the field of DSP and what all skills or qualities are needed to be to be developed before we enter it. Thank you, sir. With this, I would like Chair Chair of IEEE Signal Processing Society, BMSIT, to brief us about the activities planned for the year 2021 and 2022. Over to you, Akshaya.
Good morning, everyone. I am Akshaya from 6th semester Electronics and Communication Department, BMSIT&M. I have been associated with IEEE for the past 4 months and with Signal Processing Society, a technical subunit of the student branch, for the past 2.5 months. Being a part of this professional committee, it has helped me to continuously learn, stay current with the latest trends in technology, and also has played a significant role in my personal development. I am here to present you the activities planned by the Exicom Signal Processing Society for the current academic year. We are planning to conduct webinars on niche Signal Processing Society concepts like image processing, speech processing, video processing, audio data compression by industrialists in that domain. There will also be distinguished lectures by industry personnel who can help the students to bridge the gap between industry and academics. IEEE Signal Processing Society, in collaboration with TechFest committees at BMSIT during fests to organize events and competitions in the signal processing domain. We are planning to start an official student chapter blog, which will be maintained by the student chapter members. Next up, we have plans of launching podcasts that will focus on interviewing eminent industrialists where they get the opportunity to share this journey of success to motivate the young engineers. We are planning to create study groups where people interested in particular domain of signal processing can study a certain set of materials and discuss among themselves to get creative and find solutions to the real life problems. We are also planning to conduct quality workshops to propagate knowledge. Hackathons will be planned which focuses on real-world problem solving and building applications. So all in all, we plan to ensure that the activities planned will be aligned with the current technological focus and will be beneficial to the community. So do join us and explore the signal processing domain if that interests you. Thank you for your time and patient listening. Over to Vishesh.
Thank you, Akshaya, for briefing the audience with the activities planned for IEEE Signal Processing Society, BMSIT&M. Now, I would like to call on our beloved Principal, Sir, Dr. Mohan Babu, to deliver the presidential address. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. Professor Hari, Mr.
Namaskara,
Shailesh, Dr. Mala, Dr. Anjan, Mr. Sanish, colleagues of mine from BMSIT, all student friends, young student friends, good morning to you all.
Good morning, sir.
The very first thing that I want to ask you, how are you people? Are you safe? Are you safe, secure? How about your family, parents, everybody? Hope that you have taken enough care at your end to not only keep yourselves safe, but also make sure that your close associates or relatives within the family circles, within the home, to be safe. That's very, very important at this stage. Keep that in mind, because I just want to share some small statistic related to it. We have been hearing that there are lots of casualties happening in various colleges. I have heard that minimum 5-6 teachers, technical staff, and students have lost their lives. I'm so happy that my colleagues at my institution have worked so hard to keep the entire campus, what should I say, with appropriate behaviors, with appropriate measures. We have made sure that very frequent testing have been done. At least 3 rounds of testings have been done. And Dr. Mala has been one of the very important person in that direction. And whenever we found people to be positive, we quickly isolated them very, very appropriately as per SOP, and made sure that everybody followed the SOP properly everywhere, even when the students were on campus. More than 600-700 students were on campus for last 1 year, excluding the government, as per the government regulations. Now, with all these things, we never had any casualty at all so far. Although there are more than 195 students who tested positive, not necessarily in the campus, but even elsewhere also, whenever they're outside traveling and so on. But we have made sure that the campus has been very COVID-free kind of an environment. This is what I wanted to share at the beginning, anyway, when I talked about please be safe. I would have actually loved to have all of you on campus to have a physical meeting. I would have seen you. I would have shown our very, very lush green campus, very much like IISc. Many people, professors from IISc, they come and talk about the lush greenness of the campus. I would have had you there, but unfortunately, COVID has not permitted that. But of course, being online also has certain advantages, like a large number of people can participate. And most people, most seminars or events start on time compared to many other kind of physical meetings, and people need not travel anywhere. These are certain advantages that we have. Anyway, I'm so happy to be a part of this inauguration of the IEEE Signal Processing Society student chapter of BMSIT, and I must congratulate all my faculty members who are responsible for this, starting from Dr. Anjan. And already, as people mentioned, IEEE student chapter has been very active at BMSIT. In fact, Anjan was mentioning more than 60 activities have been done, and it has been awarded in many ways. I'm so happy about that. And now you're starting the Signal Processing Society's student chapter. Good, please go ahead with this. And Professor Hari and Mr. Shailesh has given very brief but very wonderful account of what IEEE activities or IEEE society can offer to student chapters on one side by Professor Hari. At the same time, Mr. Shailesh has mentioned about brief account of what signal processing is all about, and how pervasive it is, and also the job opportunities kind of designations one would have, and such other things. I'm sure that this will be quite helpful to you people. In fact, as Mr. Shailesh was mentioning, everything around the world is processing the signals. In fact, the world runs on that, whether it is electronic world or social world, both of them run on signals. In fact, this every day, in fact, my house is located in front of a park. Every morning we hear a lot of birds chirping. Beautiful sound it is. So many times, as soon as I wonder, as soon as I get up, I wonder, is it possible to decode the kind of signals one bird is giving to the other one? Can we find a pattern in them given depending on the situation at which or circumstance at which it actually chirps? Can we repeat that kind of a pattern and attract the birds to us? Can we do this? Can we do the same kind of signal processing with other animals or birds or whatever it is? Just wild thought that passes my mind. And of course, there are lots of such applications. In fact, he was mentioning about that. He also mentioning a very important. He was also mentioning very important thing like how one needs to move from the theoretical development to the conceptualization of the products, okay, concepts and application of the concepts to solve real life problems, and then how to expand it to such a level where the benefits are available to the entire mass. This is what is very important. At this stage, I want to remind you the IEEE Signal Processing Society student chapter of BMSIT to engage in as many activities as possible, as much in line with the National Education Policy 2020. It's very important that you keep that in focus and organize your activities, simply because it tries to identify the gap between the current curricular aspects and how it is being delivered to what the learning outcomes that are expected by the society and the industry. This gap is to be bridged, and your activities must be planned in such a way that it adds a lot of value to what you learn in these 4 years, so that you could go out of the programs with the necessary outcomes, which will be helpful for you people to meet the expectations of the society there. And specifically focus on the critical thinking aspects of it, innovative approach to problem solving, and the kind of teamwork, collaborative thinking, sharing information, technical communication, rather the holistic development of your own self. You have to develop yourself to the fullest potential that you have. That's what is the objective of NEP. Kindly keep that NEP in the broader framework within which you will fit your activities there. I look forward to you people coming up with a kind of activities. In fact, Ms. Akshaya was mentioning about so many types of activities. ನಾನು ವಿಶೇಷನ್ಗೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಅಕ್ಷಯನ್ಗೆ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ನೀವು ವಿಶೇಷವಾಗಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟೀಸ್ನ ಅಕ್ಷಯವಾಗಿ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಡಿ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಎಂಡ್ಲೆಸ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಕೌಂಟ್ಲೆಸ್ ಆಗಿ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಡಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇನೆ. Keep all these activities very well planned with persons responsible, timeline, budget and resources required, and integrate all these activities to the institution's calendar of events, so that we can all monitor how the things are progressing over a period of time. And that will be very, very systematic and very professional way of doing activities also. Professor Hari has mentioned about so many kinds of facilities and benefits of the perks that you mentioned, okay, available to students, maybe in terms of publications, resources, financial support, travel support, networking, mentoring, and so on. And I want to share with you, BMSIT also subscribes to what is called as IEEE journals. In fact, earlier we used to procure it as a part of VTU consortium. All VTU colleges together used to negotiate with the IEEE people and get the journals. But because the journals were very expensive, VTU dropped that idea of procuring the journals in consortium, and no college could have access to IEEE. But BMSIT went ahead alone to IEEE people, negotiated a price on one-to-one basis, and now we have been subscribing to IEEE journals without break from so many years. And our students and teachers should make use of this kind of a facility and benefit from that. Institute is ready to provide you any type of support that you require in order to develop yourselves into the fullest potential and be valuable to the society. That's the interest of the institution. I actually look forward to different IEEE societies chapters. Okay, now you are opening up this signal processing. Likewise, there may be many more kind of societies under IEEE. Kindly come up with those chapters also. We know IEEE means very professional, very organized, very deep-rooted, very old, right? Very, very resourceful organization. Please make use of this kind of an organization support and come up very well in life and bring credits to yourself, your parents, and so college, and also the society. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity. And once again, hearty congratulations to all of you, and wish you all the best on this occasion. Thank you.
Thank you, Principal, sir, for your thought-provoking and interesting speech. We assure you, sir, that we will organize all the events with the only motto, that is the holistic development of the students. Now, moving ahead, feeling gratitude and not expressing it is like wrapping up a present and not giving it. With this, I would like to call on Karnam Pranav, Vice Chair of IEEE Signal Processing Society, BMSIT, to give the vote of thanks.
Hello everyone. Firstly, I'm very excited to be here to have got this amazing opportunity to be a part of this inaugural function. We are at the final few minutes of the event. I would like to end it on a good note. I'd like to extend my sincere gratitude and appreciation to all the speakers out here, and to each and every one of you who are present in the event today. A special thanks to Professor Hari sir to have provided us with the information about IEEE and opportunities, membership, benefits. Yeah, it was very informative. Thank you, sir. And Mr. Sakri, who have joined us in making this inauguration a very successful one. Your talk about job opportunities, processes, advancement in DSP domain. You are really on point. You've been an amazing speaker. I would also like to thank our principal, Dr. Mohan Babu. Thank you for such wonderful opportunities you have been providing us. And your ideas, listening to your ideas do make us think about it. And I also thank Dr. Mala ma'am. We have received a lot of support from you, ma'am. You have always been motivating and encouraging. Many thanks to all the faculties at BMSIT, especially our branch counselor, Dr. Ranjan sir, and chapter advisor, Professor Sanish, who have guided us and corrected us through this event. And lastly, our participants. I'm looking forward to see you all in the future in our future events. We have a lot of things coming up for you. Let's grow individually and collectively and contribute for the betterment of the society. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.